This is lesson 7.1, Prealgebra 2. It's about writing expressions and equations. And you'll notice this picture of a cave. And if you're exploring a cave where there's rock formations, these rock formations are called stalagmites. And if you were going through there, I did this as a child, a tour guide would tell you as you're driving through that, this one right here is the tallest stalagmite in the cave, and it's in a pool that's 55 feet deep, and the distance between the tip and the surface of the water is 41 feet. And then she might say, well, so how tall is the stalagmite? Well, we're going to talk about how we can use writing expressions and putting math to words can help us solve that in just a minute. Right now we want to look at what words here can help us understand a problem. And these are basically the same two boxes, but these things help us translate a math problem, and particularly an algebra problem. So we've already talked about this multiple times, but let's just go through this. This is something you really got to commit to memory at this point, or algebra is going to be really hard. If something is asking us to use addition, they're going to use words like sum, plus, added to, more than, increased by, total, or exceeds. Those things mean we're going to add something together. And remember, in an algebraic phrase, you can have multiple things to do. So you have to figure out what you're adding to, what you're subtracting from, so you can write out the phrase. Subtraction, you might see the word difference, minus, subtracted from, less than, fewer than, decreased by, how much more. This means a number is going to be subtracted. Multiplication, we have product times, multiplied by, twice, and it'd be x2 of. Division, what's the quotient? It's the top number on a fraction, and a fraction is the division problem. Divided by, divided into, per, half, ratio, reciprocal. Equality, does something equal something? Is the same as, equals, the result is equivalent to, equates to, corresponds to. And this is the same thing, but there was a couple other words down here that weren't on this one. We have by, together, combine, combined, total of, added, we had added to. On the subtract column, let's see what the difference is. Less or fewer than, find out how much more, or less than, decreased by, difference between, of. Something wants to be, it requires you to multiply. Over here, times, product, equal, groups of, multiplied by, product of, increased, decreased by factor of. And so this type of operation could involve both addition and subtraction and multiplication. And divide here, divided by, quotient, separate into equal groups, per, a, out of, ratio of, quotient of, percent, divide by 100. So these are all phrases that you need to memorize. In fact, I think what would be a really good thing to do is to have a test on this next Monday. That would be really good. I will type up a sheet for you to study, and then next Monday we will. You'll have to be able to list in the category all the words that mean this. So let's go through what these verbal phrases actually, how they translate into something. We have, if it says a number increased by 5, means we have x plus 5. So a number is x. Increased is addition by 5. 7 less than a number. The number, the number could be, you could use n, you could use y, you could use x. You don't know what that number is. That'd be x minus 7. 3 more than twice a number, so that's 2x. Twice a number is 2x plus 3, so 2x is more than 3. 4 decreased by the quotient of a number and 7, and that would be 4 decreased means minus the quotient of a number, that'd be x and 7. Now this one was a little bit confusing right here, because we want to say the quotient of a number, we might want to say logically over 7, but it's the quotient of a number and 7. That's how they're explaining that fraction right there. Here we have 16 increased by a number is 27, so we have the total is 27. It's hard to read my writing there. 27. And so we have 16 increased by is plus and 4. In this one right here, we have the difference of twice a number, so that's 2y or 2x or whatever you want it to be, and 3 equals 4. And so here they use the word and to signify the difference of twice a number, so this is twice a number, and 3, but we're talking about, we're not adding there, it's the difference, which means it's subtraction. So it's 2y minus 3 equals 4. Here we have the product of 1 over 2 and a number is 36. And so we have product means we need to multiply something. So we have 1.5 and a number would be y, so that's 1.5 times y equals 36. And then negative 3 is equal to twice the sum of a number and 2. We have negative 3 equals, we had that part, twice, so we have 2, and then the sum of a number and 2. So we have to do y plus 2 to do the sum of a number and 2. On this one, it's 14 added to a number will equal 14 plus a. I'm using a as the number. Here, 1/2 of a number decreased by 22 would be 1/2. I used n for my number. Decreased is negative, and by 2. It's decreased by 2. That's a minus. Here, 42 divided by a number equals 7. That's 42 divided, I used y, equals 7. You could also do 42 over y equals 7. 5 minus twice a number is 17. 5 minus and twice a number is 2y equals 17. So here is another little chart where it gives the word problem and how you would do that in algebra. We have the sum of 3 in a number, and that would be n plus 3 or 3 plus n. 7 more than a number is n plus 7 or 7 plus n. A number plus 2, n plus 2 or 2 plus n. A number increased by 8, that's addition to, n plus 8 or 8 plus n. Add 9 to a number, n plus 9 or 9 plus n. Joe is 9 years older than Drew, who is n years old. That would be n plus 9. Jenna's salary, S, is raised by 120. That's S plus 120. So that gives you an idea how this thing translates, how you would write it out. Here's the same thing again, just a different chart I found online. How all these things, we have addition, we've already talked about sum, more, plus, increased by, added to, subtraction is difference, less than, minus, decreased by, fewer than, multiplication is product, times, multiplied by, of, division is quotient divided by the ratio of and per. Again, same thing, just going over it and over it and over it so you get it into your head. Works out to be, oh, sorry. So let's go back and talk about the cave. And I couldn't find an exact picture that would match the one in the book on page 317. I mean 317, but we can just use this one and pretend. So we're going to use h to represent the height of the stegomate, and we have our equation is going to be h plus distance. It's h height plus the distance between the tip of the right here and the water surface. So so this is h right here, if you can see where and then the distance here is going to be from the tip up here to the top, and then the d is the depth of the water, which would be all of it. And so we have in the book, it gave h, we don't know, plus 41 equals 55, and h worked out to be 14 feet when you subtract 41 from 55. So this is just an example of how we took words and then added the numbers to them, and we did it. And this might be a little confusing because the picture isn't the same, but it gives you an idea what I'm talking about. And if you wanted to look at this problem in the book, it's example 3. It's example 3 on page 318. So you can look there and see a better picture than what I was trying to draw here. This is another example that it's at the bottom on your turn now on page 318. And it says, use mental math to solve the following problems. While hiking, you descend 2,000 feet from the start of a trail to an elevation of 5,200 feet. So write an equation to find the elevation at the start of the trail. And so what we have, is we don't know the beginning, which is the elevation at the start of the trail. N minus 2,000 equals 5,200. So we don't know where we started. And so when we add that together, we know that we started in will be 7,200 feet. So the point at the top here where they started to come down the trail is going to be the elevation will be 7,200 feet. Okay, your assignment is going to be found on pages 319 to 321. And you're going to do exercises 7 through 29, 31, 32, 36 through 40, 45 through 54, and I made a note on the next page about how to answer 45, 46, 47, 48. And this picture down here of the swimmer is Tammy Van Wise. And by 2001, the year 2001, she had swum enough races to circle the earth 1.5 times. Can you imagine swimming that many races? The circumference of the earth is about 25,000 miles. So if you had to guess, about how many miles had she swum in races by 2001? And the answer to that would be she swam 3,500 miles. That's a lot, don't you think? So for problems 45, 46, and 47, I believe. Yes. 45, 46, 47, 48. It's asking you to figure out what quadrant they would be. And so if you draw out your grid, quadrant 1 is up here, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And you have to, by plotting those points, I have graph paper over here, then you have to say which quadrant each one of those is. That's the answer for 45, 46, 47, and 48.